Okay, welcome back. We're continuing with assignment number 3. We're working through it. We've done the first 9 questions. We are now on question number 10 of your assignment 3. What is the present value of an annual retail rental? Now immediately you know that it's an annual rental, which means it's so much, it's 100,000 per year, every year, payable in advance, which escalates at 9% per annum for a term of 10 years. Use 10% as the annual discount rate. Okay. Now in our first year, we did this, we would have done this question and we would have applied the formula, escalating annuity formula, which was right at the end of the year, was chapter number 12 or something of your notes. You might still want to go and look at it, but for this year, we have learned how to answer such a question using your financial calculator. Now we need to be you need to be extremely disciplined and focused, particularly if it's a very long term. In this case, we have a 10-year term. We have a rental agreement starting at 100,000 Rand for the first year in advance. It escalates at 9% per annum for 9 years, and the annual discount rate is 10%. So using your financial calculator, we're still on 1 per year because it's annual rentals, so 1 per year is good, and we need to key in the 10% interest, 10% shift nominal interest. So let me try and draw an outline of what that scenario looks like. When in doubt, always draw a timeline to help you understand. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a 10-year rental term. So I will number it as such. 1, 2. The rentals are payable in advance, and your first rental is 100,000. What was your escalation? 9%, I think. 9%. Right, those are your variables that we have to work with. We're starting with 100,000, we have 10% interest, we have 9% escalation, we have a 10-year term. Now your first payment, because we are told that, is here at point 0, your payment for your first year, which means your last payment, your last rental payment will be paid at the beginning of your 10th year, which is there. So your payments will be made there, 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 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Still making 10 payments, but they are being made at the beginning of each year. So your last payment is made at the end of your 9th year or the beginning of your 10th year, same point in time. So the question is we are asked to determine the present value, which is how much of, if we discount all those payments, those rental payments, to a net present value here. That's what we're asking. But remember that the payments for each year differs. Because whereas we started at 100,000, your payment on the first anniversary, which is the payment for year 2, would be 100,000 plus the 9%. that would be 109,000. Your third payment would be 109,000 plus 9%, which would be 118,000 and something.
Yeah.
What is it that you got?
118810.
And so on and so on and so on and so on. But that's not what we're going to do. We're not doing it that way. We're not doing it that way. We're not working out each one individually and trying. That takes too long. We're using the cash flow function or the CFJ button on your calculators. Now let's try but we have to focus. We have to work through this very carefully. It's easy to slip up and then you won't be able to tell whether you've got the right answer or not unless you redo it. So we said key in the 10% interest. Now your first payment, your first rental payment is at 0.0, CFJ 0. So your 100,000 goes in straight away. CFJ. And then for year 2, I'll say plus 9% equals, or times 1.09, whichever you work best with. I'm adding 9% escalation.
Plus
9% equals, right? Now you've got 109,000. CFJ. Right. Now we keep on doing that until we get to CF9, because your last payment is on CF9. So we say plus 9% equals CFJ plus 9% plus 9% CFJ each time. Until you see CFJ 9, then you stop. Although you've gone to CF9, you've actually keyed in the 10 payments, the 10 rental payments. And once you have completed that, you'll say shift NPV. And you see it takes a bit of discipline here to work through until you get to CF9. Until you get to CF9. It's worth repeating, but I'll just wait for you to catch up on.
Okay, 9 and then shift.
NPV.
96.
Perfect. 960,067 rand. 960,067. Perfect. Now, that is your present value. You see, it took us literally a minute to do on a calculator. It would have taken a long time to work it out any other long lengthy by using lengthy. But now, it's sometimes worthwhile just to do it a second time to make sure you get the same answer. Because if you have slipped up somewhere along the line, you wouldn't know whether your answer is correct. So I'll repeat that performance, the process. In this instance, payments are in advance. So CF0 must be your first payment. So let's put in the 10%. 10% nominal interest. 100,000. Not CFJ, not plus minus. We're going straight into CFJ. And it says CF0. So I'm happy I've positioned or input my first payment in the right place. If payments were made in arrears, that means at the end of each year, we would have a different situation. If payments for an escalating annuity are made in arrears, your first payment would not be at CF0. Where would your first payment be? Your first payment would have been here. Where would your last payment have been? 10. In that case, we have to ensure that we key in a 0, a physical 0 value for CF0. if payments are made in arrears, CF0 has to have an input of nil, because no payment is made up front. It's important to know that, because some questions you might, in practice, we understand that rentals are payable in advance. In practice, as a valuer, that's what you would be doing. But for time value of money questions, you could be asked that payment. If you are not told payments are made in advance,
You should assume it's
you need to assume that they are made in arrears. In which case, you would apply this somewhat differently. Your first input as CF0 would be a physical nil amount. And then you would start off with 100,000 as CF1. And your last input would be, you'd go up to CF10, not up to CF9, if you're starting with 1. So the answer for this particular question, which is in advance, is 960,067 rand. There are many people out there practicing valuations today who cannot do that process on the financial calculator. And it just emphasizes again the importance of financial calculations in the life of a valuer or in the life of any real estate practitioner. You need to be on top of your game when it comes to this calculations. Okay. We're going to continue with question number 11 next. And we are going to be revisiting escalating annuities in a later question. Question number 15. The last question was a 20-mark question, which we're going to revisit escalating annuities again. So if you're still a bit concerned about it, don't worry, we'll get back to it. Question number 11, I beg your pardon. A property owner expects to have to do maintenance to his building in 3 years' time. The estimated cost of maintenance as at today is 1,950,000. Maintenance costs are expected to increase by 8.5% per annum. How much must the owner save per month in order to have sufficient funds available for the proposed maintenance, if his investment portfolio offers him a return of 6.5% per annum, compounded monthly? Now, some people, there were two interpretations of this question. First of all, you need to calculate what will my maintenance cost be in 3 years' time. If today it costs 1,950,000 today, what is it in 3 years' time when the costs are going to escalate or going to increase by 8.5% per annum? So at that point in the question, we don't know, we are not told that interest is compounded monthly. So we can work out the future value of that based on an annualized increase of 8.5%. So if it's 1 per annum, yes, 1 per year, 1,950,000 plus minus present value, 3 shift n, 8.5 shift nominal percentage. Our future value will be 2,490,713.79. Our future value would be 2,470,000, 2,490,713 rand and 79 cents. Right. Now we are saying, how much must the owner save per month? Now he's going to save monthly in order to have sufficient funds available if he earns 6.5% on his money, compounded monthly. So now what I need to do is we are now going to work with monthly amounts. So I need to change my calculator to 12 periods per year, not one period per year. My amount of 2490713.79 is what I shall require in 3 years' time. So it's a future value, plus minus future value. It's going to take me 3 years of payment, of saving, monthly savings. So 3 shift n gives me 36 months. And I only earn 6.5 on my money, 6.5% nominal interest. And my monthly payment will now be 62,846.53, which will be rounded to 62,847. 62,847.
This is sorry, what's the future value?
2490.
Oh, okay, it's this one.
It's the second part of the question. We worked out the 2490. Now, if you had worked out the future value of your maintenance costs on a monthly basis, as opposed to an annual basis, you'd have got a slight different answer. Your payment would have been, instead of 62,847, you'd have your monthly payment would have been 63,438, and I would have marked both of those as being correct. Depending on whether you took the first part of that question and future valued it on an annualized basis or on a monthly basis. If you did it on an annualized basis, your answer would have been 62,847. And if you had compounded interest monthly, you would have got to 63,438. Those were all relatively short questions. The two last 12 questions, 12, 13, 14, and 15, pertain to two lengthy questions. One was amortization. One was basically a rental agreement in place for 30 years. For 30 years. Those were the long exams, and those were, I think, with some more students might have come unstuck on those particular questions. Let's look at question 12. Let's get these guys to walk past the window here quickly. All right. Now, question 12 is also one of those that you have to do step by step. One can build these questions up to have many multiple calculations within the process. But let's read it first. Question 12 refers to Peter as a home loan, initial capital amount of which was 1,450 million, 1,450,000. That was his loan amount, irrespective of what the value of his house cost. What the house cost, that was the loan that he required from his bank. A 30-year term. A term was 30 years, and the interest rate was 11.75%, compounded monthly. Okay, because your interest rate, your compounding of your interest rates and your payment terms are the same. 2 years after taking up the loan, the Reserve Bank announced a 50 basis point increase in interest rates, which was followed by Peter's bank increasing this rate accordingly. Nine years into paying his loan, he receives a financial windfall and decides to pay off half of his outstanding loan and asks his bank to adjust his payments for the remaining period of the loan. What would his new payment be? Now, there are quite a few steps before we get to that very last question, what will his new payment be? The first thing we have to do is work out his very first payment at kickoff, at the outset. What is his first payment? 12 per year, which is what we are working with. Correct? 12 per year. 1,450,000 plus minus. Your loan amount always represents a present value. It's loan today. So that's your present value, 1,450,000. The term was for 30 years. 30 shift n. That should give me 360, which is the 30 times the 12 months per year. And his interest rate was 11.75. 11.75 shift nominal percentage. The first thing I want to know now, after keying in those three variables, what is my payment? My payment, my very first payment. Now let me do this, put a few things on the flip chart as well, so we can keep a record of all the numbers. Picture timeline. Now the question gives us something up front. These are the points that we'll be working at. Will be point 0. This initial payment we've just calculated on our calculators at 14,636.44. 14,636. That's his payment that he starts paying from month 1. From month 1. Assuming we're not told payments are made in advance, so the calculation is based on payments being made at the end of the month. So we do not key in, we do not program our calculators to read begin. We do not read begin. We start off normally, and you get to your payment, your first payment of 14,636.44. As if nothing would change. That is what you're expecting to pay for 30 years, for 360 months. But after 2 years, something changes. The interest rate changes. So, whereas we kicked off with that interest rate, here we had 12.25% interest. So, we have to calculate the new payments after the 2-year period has elapsed, after 24 months. Okay? How would you do that? Now you can continue working with the numbers that you have on your calculators. Do you have the 14,636.44 on your screen, which is your end result of your first payment, which you need to have. So you need to start off with the present value of 1,450,000. That's a plus minus present value. Your interest rate was 11.75% at the outset. Your term was 30 years. And your payment is 14,636. Now, after 2 years, we have to recalculate, correct? And we need 3 things to calculate the next payment. The interest rate, we know, is now gone up to 12.25. Your term will now be 28 years. 2 years is gone of the 30. 28 years. But what we don't have right now is your balance after 2 years, because that will be your new capital. Your new present value will be the balance after 2 years, after you've paid off your loan for 2 years. So to get there, we can simply do the following. Just don't clear your calculator. 1, input, 24, shift, amort. The amort key is your future value key. That also says amort there, you'll see. So now I'll get 1 to 24. I'll get the following on my screen, 1 to 24 in the block. Period. Period 1 to 24 is what I see. We've got that. And now press equals. My first reading says to me, I have paid 11,799 Rand of capital. After 24 months, so much capital has been paid off. If I press equals again, I have paid 339,000 Rands of interest. 339,475 is how much interest I've paid in 24 months. But that's still not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the balance. If you press equals one more time, you'll get balance. 1,438,200. One, 4, 3, 8, 200. And how much cents have I got there? Stick to
650.
65, eh? So that's the figure I'm looking for, which is my third variable required to work out my new payment or my new installment using my increased interest rate. Okay? So you've written it all down, so I would suggest you now clear your calculator.
Shift clear.
Yes. And it's 1,438,200.65 plus or minus. That's my new present value. My term is 28 shift N. I've got 28 years left to pay that loan, which is 336 months, yes. But now remember, your interest rate has gone up to 12.25. It went up 0.5% from 11.75 to 12.25. Shift nominal percentage payment. So now I get my new payment here of 15,181.95. That's my payment that I've now starting to pay after 2 years, and that's because of the interest rate increase. Okay? But that's not the end of the story. There is more.
Always.
There is more.
Always.
Then it says 9 years into paying his loan. So 9 years into paying his loan, he started paying his loan there. It does not say 9 years from here. 9 years from there takes you there. Something else happens. He either wins the lotto or gets a lump sum payment from somewhere or inheritance, and he wants to pay off half of his balance and reduce his remaining payments. So we need to work out again what is the balance here. We've currently got on my calculator, and you should have this on your calculator. Now from there to there, what is the term?
7 years.
84 months. 7 years times 12. Correct? 7 years? Not 9 years. 9 years was from there. From there to there, it's 7 years. It's 7 times 12 is 84 months. So whilst I still have my payment on my screen, I will say 1 input, 84 shift, a mort, equals, and now we'll have my new balance here of
1372.
1372.
180195.
Right. Now, this is what he says he wants to pay off half of. He's paying off half of that amount. Correct? So simply divided by 2 equals 686,090.48. Clear your calculator? 686,090.48. Correct? We're now going to work out the new payment for the third time. The new payment based on 50%. And you said it was what is it? 686.
Yeah.
090.
0.48.
So we now want to work out the new payment based on that over what term? Over what term? What is the remaining term that's still left? Between 9 and 30, 21 years. 21. So you take your balance, your reduced balance of 686,090.48. Key that in as a negative present value. Your term is 21 years, so 21 shift n. And your interest rate remains the same at 12.25. And we are looking for payment.
7590.
That is your answer. 7591 rounded off to the nearest rand. The answer that we were looking for was 7591. And all of that was 15 marks. So if you unfortunately had gone wrong at the front, up in the beginning, you could never have got to the right answer at the end. So if you get this question asked again in future, I will break it down into 5, 5, and 5, which I did mark it. I gave you 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks, and now your last payment was 7. 0.9798. $7,591. It's my phone that's buzzing. That was your last payment. That's what we were looking for. So invariably those students that did not do very well in this assignment probably came unstuck here. A lot of them came unstuck with this question.
Most probably.
Okay? Happy with that now?
Yeah.
Understand what we've done?
Yes.
It helps to have the timeline in front of you, because then you can work out where you are, where you want to go, what is the period of, what is the term. But basically that was 15 marks worth.
There's actually 3 steps. Year 2, year 9, and year 3.
There are 3 payment calculations, but you also had to calculate the balance here and the balance there. So there were actually, different. There were there were probably about 5 different things you needed to do to work out. That question continued with question 13 and 14, which was also misinterpreted or misunderstood by some students. Question 13 said, question 12 continued, and it said, how much capital will be paid in the 10th year? How much capital will be paid in the 10th year? Now we've completed this whole exercise up to the end of 9 years. The 10th year is the immediate year following. The 1st to the 12th month immediately following the calculation of this payment. And to get to that, how much capital will be paid, we say without clearing your calculator. Have you still got that 759? 1 input. 12 shift amort.
Wait for 1 year.
1 year, from 1 to 12.
12 shift amort. Alright.
Equals principal. That's what we're looking for. Principal is capital. 7454. 7455 rounded. It's 7454 yeah, it's exactly 7455. 7455. That's how much capital. Remember you had 21 years left. In the first year, of the 686,000 balance, you paid off capital 7455.
Not interest.
No, capital. The question was only for capital. That's principal. Interest would have been the next equals one more time. If you press equals one more time, it tells you you've paid 83,000. Interest in the same 12. But that was not asked.
Yeah.
Right? The next question says, how much interest is payable in the 4th month after the windfall? Now, this is where I'm testing your ability to determine between a period of 12, let's say a year, or a specific month. I'm looking for question 14, how much interest is payable in the 4th month after this date? So I don't want to go 1 to 4, because that's from payment. That's interest 1 month, the 1st month, 2nd month, and 3rd and 4th month combined. I only want to know the 4th month. So I'll say 4 input, 4 shift amort equals.
How do I go back?
No, don't go back. Just carry on. 4 input, 4 shift. 4 shift amort equals.
698.
Of the 7591, which is 1 month's payment, for that particular month your interest was 6985. Your payments will remain the same, your total payment will always remain the same until something changes, but your mix, your contribution, your breakdown between capital and interest changes every month. Every month. Your interest decreases, your capital increases as we go on. You first pay off the interest, So that's why early on in your term you're paying off interest, and then you're paying off more capital towards the end. That's how we do that. That's how we answer that. Question 15 is a long question again, which I want to do after the next break. I think we'll take another 10-minute break. Okay.